Picture Oak Island long shrouded in mystery, wrapped in centuries of whispers and legends. For generations, people spoke of pirate loot, hidden riches, and secrets buried in its soil. But this time, what surfaced was beyond gold, beyond treasure, something so staggering that it silenced not only the diggers, but the entire world. The work that had quietly gone on for years suddenly came to a standstill. Overnight, Oak Island was shut down. Not a single soul was allowed, and not even those who had dedicated their lives to chasing its enigma. Something had been unearthed, something so powerful it could upend everything we thought we knew about history itself. On the surface, nothing seemed different. The calm waters rippled as usual, the same trees swayed in the wind, the same pits scarred the island's ground. But beneath this quiet exterior, something extraordinary had been awakened. At first, the discovery seemed ordinary enough: old coins, rotting timbers, rusted tools. But then came the objects no one could explain. Pieces marked with strange etchings, symbols that defied every known language, shapes and designs that didn't fit into any chapter of human history. These weren't remnants of pirates. They were hints of something far greater and far more unsettling. Security tightened almost overnight. Guards no one had ever seen before patrolled the grounds. Entire sections of the site vanished under heavy tarps. Meetings were suddenly closed off, even to trusted crew members. Those who had dug for years were now pushed aside. Among them was Emma Culligan, a brilliant researcher whose insights had guided some of the most important breakthroughs. Yet even she was locked out as the air grew heavier with secrecy. Then, as the discoveries became stranger, Emma disappeared from view altogether. Fans demanded answers. None came. And then the night that changed everything. Past midnight, the excavation team worked carefully when the ground itself seemed to awaken. A sound rose from the depths, slow, resonant, unlike any machine. It wasn't just heard, it was felt, a deep vibration running through the soil. They cut the equipment, but the sound remained. Moments later, light spilled from below. Not the white of lamps or the orange of fire, but a shimmer of blue and gold, glowing like liquid energy. Some swore they saw shapes moving within its shadows where no one stood. Panic took hold. Tools clattered to the ground, workers fled, cameras died without explanation. Rick and Marty Lagina tried to steady their team, but even they could see the truth. This was no ordinary discovery. The dig was shut down instantly. Guards seized the site, and by sunrise, Oak Island was no longer in the hands of dreamers. It was under the control of powers far larger. Unmarked trucks rolled in, black uniforms, faceless operatives, machines that looked more like military technology than excavation gear. Witnesses on the mainland caught glimpses: lights in the soil, containers sealed and guarded like nuclear weapons, the bitter smell of chemicals carried on the wind, and then absolute silence. The government stepped in. Federal agencies were seen. Some whispered that even international forces had landed. Oak Island had been transformed from a treasure hunt into a military lockdown. Even the Lagina brothers were pushed aside. When pressed for answers, they uttered only one line: "It's no longer in our hands." That single phrase ignited speculation worldwide. Gold, perhaps, but why seal it with soldiers and secrecy? Ancient artifacts, possibly, but why erase every photo, every post? Then came the chilling possibility: what if it wasn't human at all? Leaked images hinted at a glowing chest, radiating unnatural light, surrounded by figures in hazmat suits. It spread online before vanishing in coordinated takedowns. If it was fake, why erase it? If it was real, what had we just glimpsed? Theories erupted. Some believed the Templars buried not treasure, but something they were sworn to protect. Others claimed it was proof of an ancient, advanced civilization, Atlantis, or something even older. And the most frightening theory of all, that Oak Island wasn't hiding riches. It was hiding something meant never to be found. Weeks passed, but the signs only grew darker. Locals described hearing machinery under the ground, though none was visible. Strange tides pulled boats in unnatural ways. The island seemed alive. Then came the blackout. For hours, power across the region failed. Phones died, GPS cut out, satellites blinked. When the lights returned, Oak Island itself remained in shadow. Some swore they saw a thin blue-golden beam rise into the night sky before it vanished. Rumors spun out of control. Leaked memos referenced a non-terrestrial anomaly and urged containment and weaponization. Anonymous workers described metallic structures, curved and seamless, far too advanced for any known civilization. One detail chilled everyone who heard it. It wasn't buried. It was placed. As if Oak Island wasn't a mystery at all, but a vault, a lock, And then came the dreams. Dozens of islanders reported the same vision, a colossal figure of light, whispering in an unknown tongue, repeating one phrase over and over, "The seal is broken." Historians scrambled to connect the dots. Religious leaders debated in hushed tones. Some said the discovery could shatter faith itself. Scientists warned it could destabilize nations. But the locals already knew the truth. Oak Island wasn't breathing like land anymore. It was breathing like something alive. And the most terrifying thought? If Oak Island was a prison, someone just unlocked the door. In the weeks after the incident, Oak Island became a ghost. The show that once aired Discovery's weekly went dark. Crews vanished. Interviews stopped. The island, once alive with chatter and cameras, was suddenly silent. But silence often speaks louder than words. Fishermen on the surrounding shores began reporting strange sight columns of mist rising at precise intervals, glowing ripples beneath the surface of the Atlantic, and the unmistakable hum of machinery beneath the waves. One even swore he saw a perfectly symmetrical dome glowing underwater before it dimmed, as though, whatever it was, went back to sleep. The government explained nothing. Instead, they built fences. Cameras were installed. Unmarked helicopters circled nightly, and behind those barriers, something beyond treasure was being studied. Whispers grew. Some claimed it was a weapon technology buried centuries before humans could even dream of it. Others believed it was a warning, an object deliberately hidden so mankind would never unleash it. But then something slipped through the cracks. A former site worker, face blurred, voice distorted, appeared on a fringe broadcast. He told a chilling story. "We thought we were digging into Earth. We weren't. We were digging into a vault, and it wasn't empty. There was something inside, something that wasn't meant for us." The closer we got, the more things went wrong. Equipment shutting down, people collapsing, some hearing voices. It didn't want to be disturbed. The host pressed for details, but the man froze, clearly shaken. Before whispering, "It's not a treasure, it's a message." Then the feed cut. That was the last anyone ever saw of him. Theories ignited across the globe. Could this be linked to the Knights Templar, who legend said buried sacred relics on Oak Island? Some historians speculated it was a fragment of the Ark of the Covenant, hidden away to protect or contain its power. Others dared to whisper a darker possibility, that it wasn't divine, but extraterrestrial. For the first time, Oak Island wasn't being discussed as a treasure site. It was being discussed as a contact point. Satellite analysts noticed something alarming. Energy readings around Oak Island didn't just rise. They pulsed like a heartbeat. Each surged stronger than the last, spreading outward across the ocean floor. And when mapped carefully, those pulses formed a pattern, as if signaling. But signaling to what? Then came the night the world noticed. Tourists on Nova Scotia's mainland captured footage of a beam of light, shooting into the heavens from Oak Island. Blue and gold, the same colors described by terrified workers weeks earlier. For 17 seconds, the night sky was torn open by this impossible glow. And then, darkness. Phones in the area died instantly. Power grids failed. Air traffic was redirected. Oak Island itself was swallowed in shadow. The light vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving only silence and fear in its wake. Theories spiraled. Was it a beacon? A warning? A door opening? One thing was certain: whatever Oak Island had kept hidden for centuries was no longer sleeping. Religions debated, governments denied, scientists panicked. Some argued humanity had stumbled on technology left by a forgotten civilization, proof that we were not the first advanced beings on Earth. Others said the object was not technology, but alive, waiting, and through it all, Oak Island remained locked, fenced off, sealed by powers far greater than the treasure hunters who once dreamed of gold. The Lagina brothers, silent and grim, issued only one cryptic statement: "If the world knew what we found, history would collapse overnight." The words echoed across newsrooms, forums, and late-night whispers. But the question still burns: was Oak Island hiding humanity's greatest treasure, or humanity's greatest threat? The weeks after the light in the sky were unlike anything Nova Scotia had ever experienced. The island was surrounded not just by guards, but by warships. Entire stretches of ocean were declared restricted zones. Fishermen who wandered too close were intercepted by armed patrols. Airspace was shut down. Oak Island, once a playground for historians and dreamers, was now treated like a weapon site. But what weapon needs a lock on the sea, the sky, and TH? The silence of every witness? Leaked reports suggested something more disturbing than gold or technology. A classified document, briefly visible online before it was erased, contained a chilling phrase: subject Omega does not behave as inanimate, behaves, not functions, not operates, behaves. The object, if it was an object, was alive. Meanwhile, across the world, strange phenomena began to surface. In South America, ancient carvings resembling the same symbols found on Oak Islands suddenly drew attention. In Egypt, scholars noted that hieroglyphs long considered decorative matched the markings Emma Culligan had described before vanishing. It was as if Oak Island wasn't just a site, it was a key, connected to ancient sites across the planet. And then the Vatican spoke. For centuries, the Church had been silent about Oak Island. But now, whispers leaked from Rome. A letter attributed to an anonymous bishop warned of a prophecy hidden deep in their archives. In the age of iron and fire, the ground shall yield what was buried by those who walk before man. The seal will break, and with it comes the choice: ascend or fall forever. Coincidence? Or had Oak Island unearthed the very thing ancient priests feared? Inside Canada, journalists tried to dig deeper. Many were silenced, but one investigative team managed to track a transport convoy leaving Oak Island. In the dead of night, trucks rolled toward a nearby military base, guarded by helicopters. And in the briefest window, a drone captured something extraordinary, a container glowing from within, golden light bleeding through cracks in its steel frame. The footage lasted just 12 hours online before it was wiped, but not before millions had seen it. Theories exploded. Was it the Ark of the Covenant, an alien power core, or the legendary Holy Grail, something not just of history, but a divine power itself? Theories divided nations. Some governments called for disclosure. Others demanded silence. Stock markets crashed. Religious leaders struggled to contain the panic. Conspiracy groups declared Oak Island the first step of the great unveiling, and the public, hungry for truth, was left with only fragments. But then came the most terrifying sign yet. 3 weeks after the beam of light, fishermen reported the ocean around Oak Island breathing. Waves pulsed in perfect rhythm, not with the wind, not with the tide, but with the same heartbeat pattern satellites had detected weeks earlier. And then, at exactly midnight, the sea went still. No wind, no waves, nothing, until a sound, low, deep, resonant. It echoed across the Atlantic like a horn, carrying for miles. People as far as Halifax claimed to hear it. Some fell to their knees, convinced it was the trumpet of revelation. Others covered their ears, weeping from the unbearable vibration in their bones. The island itself seemed to shudder. And then, silence. The next morning, Oak Island was gone from the news, completely. Search results were filtered, videos erased. Anyone speaking about it online found their posts deleted within hours. The world had witnessed something monumentary, yet somehow it had been buried in plain sight. But one final whisper remained. In a rare, off-camera moment, a shaken Rick Lagina was asked by a local reporter what he thought they had found. He paused, looked down, and said only this: "We didn't find it. It found us." And with that, he walked away, never speaking to the press again. Now, Oak Island is more silent than ever, guarded, closed, untouchable, but questions remain. Burning hotter than ever, was it gold? Was it a relic of the Templars? Was it proof of alien contact? Or was it something much older, something alive, waiting beneath the earth until the world was ready? One thing is certain: Oak Island is no longer just a mystery. It is a warning, and perhaps a countdown. Weeks turned to months. The news cycle moved on. The world forgot, or rather, it was made to forget. But Oak Island had not gone quiet. Not really. Strange patterns began appearing worldwide. In Chile, a fault line pulsed with the same rhythm recorded beneath Nova Scotia. In the deserts of Egypt, glowing symbols were seen carved into rock walls that had stood unchanged for millennia. In the Arctic, scientists reported magnetic surges so strong they disabled equipment. Every event carried the same signature, the heartbeat, and it wasn't random. It was accelerating. Satellite data leaked from inside Europe's space agency revealed something terrifying. The pulses weren't just local, they were spreading, forming a global network, as if invisible lines were connecting Oak Island to ancient sites across the earth. Stonehenge, the pyramids, Easter Island, all of them pulsing, all of them alive. It was as if Oak Island hadn't revealed a treasure at all, but had awakened a system. Religious leaders scrambled. Some declared it the beginning of the end times, the trumpets of revelation made real. Others insisted it was the return of something divine, a second covenant, a test for mankind. Governments, meanwhile, stayed silent. Their silence was louder than words. And then, one final crack appeared in the wall of secrecy. A brief transmission intercepted by amateur radio operators late one night. Faint, garbled, almost lost in static. It contained just 3 words, repeated over and over. It is coming. It is coming. It is coming. The signal was traced not to Oak Island, but to deep beneath the Atlantic. Now, as the world spins unaware, those who know the truth live with one question. Did Oak Island awaken a forgotten relic of history? Or did it open the door we were never meant to touch? One thing is certain. The island is no longer just a place of mystery. It is a clock, and the countdown has already begun. For a while, the world stayed quiet. Too quiet. Oak Island was fenced off, locked down, erased from headlines. But silence doesn't erase truth. It only makes it grow louder. Whispers began in hidden corners of the internet, forums, pirate radio channels, encrypted leaks, all repeating one claim. Oak Island wasn't the only site. One researcher connected seismic data from Nova Scotia with unusual readings in Greece, Turkey, and Peru. Another compared the heartbeat pattern to ancient music scales, discovering that the pulse matched the frequency of human DNA, and if that was true, then Oak Island wasn't just sending a signal into the earth. It was sending it into us. People began reporting nightmares. Entire towns near Oak Island claimed they heard voices at night, voices whispering in languages they didn't understand. Fishermen swore they saw shadows beneath their boats, larger than whales, moving in ways no creature should move. Even stranger, across the globe, children began drawing the same symbols that Emma Culligan had once described: spirals, interlocking triangles, glyphs no one had taught them. How could they know? It was as if the discovery was not contained by fences and soldiers. It was leaking into the collective mind of humanity. Religious leaders doubled down. Some claimed it was the mark of God, preparing mankind for judgment. Others warned it was a deception, a great trick meant to lead us astray. Ancient texts were re-examined, old prophecies dragged back into the light. One verse, rarely studied, spread like wildfire, and the earth shall open its mouth to speak that which men forgot, and those who listen shall tremble, for the time has come. Was it coincidence, or had Oak Island just fulfilled a prophecy written thousands of years ago? Governments denied everything. They always do. But silence doesn't stop patterns. Because the pulses grew stronger, they began to affect the oceans. Fishermen noticed tides shifting strangely, even against the pull of the moon. Meteorologists tracked storm systems forming in unnatural shaped circles, spirals mirroring the carvings found beneath Oak Island. And then, something happened that no one could ignore. On a quiet night, a cruise ship passing within 40 miles of Oak Island reported a massive column of water, rising straight up from the ocean. No storm, no wind, just water, lifted as if gravity itself had bent. Passengers filmed it, screamed, prayed, and then, just like that, it vanished. But the footage, once uploaded, didn't vanish. This time, it spread too far, too fast. Millions saw it before it could be erased. Oak Island was back in the headlines, and this time, the world was terrified. But the greatest mystery remains unsolved. What was awakened beneath Oak Island? A treasure of unimaginable value? A relic that rewrites human history? Or something alive, something waiting buried deep for a reason? Whatever it is, it's no longer silent. The heartbeat is getting louder. The countdown is ticking. And soon, the truth will not be hidden. Because Oak Island's secret is not just about the past. It's about the future of us all. The deeper researchers dug into the mystery, the more unsettling the connections became. Oak Island wasn't just pulsing randomly. It was pulsing in rhythm with events happening across the world. An earthquake in Japan, a volcanic tremor in Iceland, a blackout in New York City. All 3 occurred exactly at the same moment as the Oak Island heartbeat. Coincidence or coordination? Scientists tried to dismiss it, but leaked seismic charts told a different story. The pulses weren't chaotic. They were intelligent. They were patterned, like a code. That code was cracked, or at least, partly by a linguist who compared the Oak Island symbols to forgotten languages. After weeks of cross-referencing, she realized the carvings weren't just decorative, they were instructions, a message. The translation was fragmentary, but chilling. Guard the seal. Break not the rhythm, for when it beats in full, the sky shall open. The world was not ready. For centuries, Oak Island had been a legend, a story of pirates, Templars, and hidden gold. But now, it was something. Templars and hidden gold. But now, it was something. Something much darker, a mechanism, a lock, A seal holding back something no one was meant to awaken, and yet it had been awakened. Religions called it prophecy fulfilled. Scientists called it myth turned real. Governments called it classified. But the people, those watching from the outside, called it inevitable. Because the pulses are growing stronger, and they are no longer confined to Oak Island. In Brazil, lights rose from beneath the Amazon. In Africa, villagers reported underground rumbles matching Oak Island's rhythm. In Asia, monks claimed the mountains themselves were vibrating, like giant drums waking from slumber. The network is active. The countdown is global. And the question is no longer what Oak Island is hiding. The question is, what is it waking up? Then came the final warning. Late one night, a strange broadcast pierced the airwaves of ham radios across North America. No station, no announcer, just a deep, echoing voice repeating in flawless monotone, "The seal is broken. The earth remembers. Prepare." Within minutes, the frequency went dead. Now the island sits in silence, ringed by guards, watched by satellites, hidden from the public eye. But silence cannot erase what has already begun. Oak Island is not a treasure. It is not a myth. It is a door. And doors are meant to open. The heartbeat grows louder. The countdown ticks faster. And whether mankind is ready or not, what sleeps beneath Oak Island is about to wake. The heartbeat was no longer a secret. It rippled through the soil, through the water, through the air itself. Sensitive instruments across the globe picked it up, confirming the same terrifying truth. Oak Island was not isolated. It was part of a vast network, a chain of locks buried deep beneath the earth, synchronized like gears in a machine older than human civilization itself. The ancient warnings, once dismissed as folklore, suddenly gained new weight. The legends of the cursed island, the whispers of nights hiding something too powerful to reveal. The cryptic journals of explorers, all of it pointed to one undeniable reality. Oak Island was never meant to be solved. It was meant to stay sealed. But mankind had broken the seal. The locals knew something was wrong long before the officials admitted it. On windless nights, the ocean surrounding Oak Island began to move on its own. Waves rose and fell in rhythm with the pulse, glowing faintly with that eerie blue-gold shimmer. Fishermen abandoned their boats, too terrified to sail near the island's shores. Animals fled the coast. Birds circled, but never landed. And the dreams, the dreams. Reports poured in from across Nova Scotia of the same recurring nightmare. A colossal figure of light rising from the island, faceless but undeniable. Its voice whispering the same phrase in countless languages. It wakes. The nightmares always ended the same way, with the figure turning its head, looking directly at the dreamer, and then silence. People woke screaming. Governments scrambled. They deployed more men, more machines, more secrecy. But secrecy could not contain what was happening. Satellite images leaked grainy, blurred, yet terrifying. They showed rings of light radiating outward from Oak Island, perfectly symmetrical, stretching beneath the water like circuitry etched into the earth itself, circles within circles, glowing brighter with each pulse. This was no accident of nature. This was design. And if it was design, then someone, somewhere, had built it. Theories ran wild. Some said it was an ancient energy source, buried long before humanity rose. Others believed it was a prison, a seal meant to hold something back. But the most chilling theory came from a group of historians who connected Oak Island's symbols to other sites around it. World Angkor Wat, the pyramids of Egypt, Stonehenge, every single one aligned with the pulse, as if Oak Island wasn't alone, but merely one lock in a chain of locks securing something buried at the very heart of the earth, something that was no longer content to stay buried. Then came the blackout. Not just Nova Scotia, not just Canada, but pockets of Europe, parts of Asia, even sections of the United States. For hours, entire regions lost power, communications, and satellite coverage. When the world came back online, strange symbols appeared briefly on screens everywhere: TVs, phones, computers before vanishing, circles, rings, the same symbols carved into Oak Island stones. It wasn't just pulsing anymore, it was speaking. Rick and Marty Lagina, the brothers who had once dreamed only of gold and glory, were seen only once more. A single, shaky video surfaced online showing them standing at a press conference. Their faces were pale, their eyes hollow. Rick tried to speak, but his voice cracked. All he could say was, "We thought it was treasure. It's not treasure. It's not ours to take. It's coming." The feed cut before he could finish. Neither brother has been seen in public since, and so the world waits. The pulses continue. The glow intensifies. The symbols spread like a language waiting to be understood. And beneath Oak Island, the heartbeat grows louder, stronger, closer. The seal is broken. The earth remembers. And now, humanity must prepare for what comes next. Because Oak Island's secret was never gold. It was never jewels. It was never even human. It was a war.